tuck it under my collar just in case. No, I hate wearing this thing.
All right. Hello. Oh, I can. Wow. Okay, we are live on Facebook right now, everybody. Hello on Facebook. We are just getting ready for a second half an hour of Leading the Charge. We're trying something a little bit different this year. You can see myself. You can see Joe Buscaglia. You can see Howard Simon. That's Joe on the end. Howard in the middle.
People confuse us a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say, I could imagine.
Look kind of similar.
It was all those years working at WGR together. I think people just forgot who was talking to them when they were listening to the radio.
Same too.
So we are trying something a little bit new this year as we're getting ready. So for our Leading the Charge Monday show, instead of just going on television, we are going to do television, and we're also going to do the second half an hour here on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're watching this. First off, we appreciate it. We're 45 seconds out. Okay, we're going to come back. I'm listening to the control room right now. I'm not ignoring the people who are watching on Facebook. The number one comment that we always get is, why can't we watch this? And it's in NFL restrictions with video policy and stuff. We can't put that video online because the NFL technically owns that video. So that's why for the second half an hour, we're not going to use the video. We're just going to use a bunch of pictures, and we're going to do it on Facebook, and then we'll answer some comments. So hopefully you're watching, and we'll talk to you guys soon. We're going to stop on the Facebook side, and we're going to be on TV shortly. Kind of like the A block, this block again. Okay. Just,
Follow wherever you lead.
Oh, Captain, my Captain.
You're so negative. Cool open.
Yeah.
Good job.
My only bone to pick with the new open there is that Joe's hair is kind of like fluttering in the wind. It makes you look a little bit like a superhero. It's pretty cool. We don't have that luxury. My hair was not blowing in the wind.
How was mine?
It looked great.
Okay.
It looked very
I worked
good.
on it hard.
Okay, I could help you on the way to greatness.
You know what the funny thing is? We have been talking about volume with hair since he worked here, like legitimately 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. At his wedding, I said, I knew you before you had the fade. He used to have the hair all the way out to the side. So our relationship has come a long way. Bills were not very good then. They're pretty good now, at least I think they are. So welcome back to another happen.
Just the lighting
it's probably gray. I think yesterday's game made it a little bit more gray than it was even 48 hours ago. So the Bills start the season. They are 1-0. 34-28. I legitimately had to write down the score because I forgot after everything we watched what the actual score was. One of the things we talked about in the first half hour was, where is our level of concern compared to what it was going into the season? I wanted to expand upon that. After watching that first game, how were we feeling? I'll start with you.
Yeah, it's weird. Honestly, one of the things I thought about was, I didn't think the offense was that great.
Yeah.
And yet they put up 34 points. Mm-hmm. Granted, the bar's very high. It's Josh Allen. It's the Bills offense. But there is definitely, I'm going to steal the Sean McDermott. What is he? Got to clean things up, right? There's lots to clean up. Again, the passing game was okay, not explosive. Josh, we've been talking about, well, they put too much on Josh all the time to win the game. Well, guess what? Thankfully, Josh Allen's here because he won the game for them yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
But, the weapons, I'd like to see somebody step up in terms of weapons. I was a little worried about Kincaid. I'm a little less worried about after Joe's explanation. Running game was okay, not great, 3.9 per carry. The offensive line had 6 penalties, and they converted only 33% on third down. So there are a number of things, that you would look at with this offense and go, Josh makes everything look really good, but there are a number of areas where they were not that good yesterday, and that is not a vaunted defense they faced.
No, they needed to tear apart that defense for sure. So everybody, if you're watching on television, if you're watching the first half hour, you'll probably notice it looks a little bit different. That's because we are streaming right now on Facebook, online. You can watch us online. You can give us your comments. We'll answer some questions as we go through this here for the next half hour. How about you? How you feeling?
Well, I'm less concerned about the offense as Howard is, because this is the first test of Josh Allen that he needed to pass, where he just has this completely different cast of characters, and he needed to be the guy that stepped it up and went into hero mode. And let's also not forget, this is a guy that has struggled in past week 1 performances with turnover specifically.
Yeah.
He had that early one, and then it was phased out completely. And from what he did with that final drive at the end of the first half, going to the end of the game, just remarkable stuff. He put the entire team on his back. Now, where I would be concerned if I were a Bills fan, the defense.
Mhm.
The preseason concerns heading in are legitimate, and they are going to continue until they start to see some headway there. But they also got another concern once Taron Johnson went down with an injury, and he's going to be out on Thursday as well.
Let me ask you this. This is a very big picture question. I would imagine you could have had this conversation every morning at GR when you were doing all 4 hours.
We did.
And I'm sure you did. If the defense is a concern, isn't it's Sean McDermott's job to overcome that? Are they a good enough coaching staff to overcome that? Because I would make the argument the only reason you have a defensive-minded head coach is to overcome when you've got injuries and when you've got shortcomings on that side of the ball. Are they going to be able to get through this? I know that's a really tricky question to ask after a week.
I am not going to make excuses for the coaching staff by any stretch. We have seen in the past them get the most out of some guys that you're like, wait, really?
Exactly.
But to not think about everything that they have lost from the end of the 2023 season on the defensive side of the ball, it would not be the full context of the conversation.
Yeah.
They're starting safeties that they maybe not built their entire defense around, but sculpted their defense for 7 seasons are gone.
One of them is still available.
One of them, but
yeah, the other one's playing against them Thursday.
Yeah.
Yeah, he ain't coming around for Thursday.
No.
Their linebacker, who has become a star in their system, he's injured, and for the foreseeable future. Their nickel corner, who completely changed the complexion of their defense, he's also injured, not playing Thursday at least.
Mm-hmm.
Their best pass rusher last year, no longer on the team. Like, these are legitimate issues that you have to think about, which is why I'm not giving them a pass per se, but it's something that you have to at least keep in the back of your mind. Like, okay, this was supposed to be this.
Yeah.
They cleaned up their cap. They got younger in a lot of different ways.
This is a good question. This is what Howard and I literally talked about the minute he walked into the door. This is from Scotty. He said, this defense needs to cover a screen pass. That's the first thing we talked about. You're like, wow, they really picked them apart, because we were talking about how they didn't test any of the cornerbacks. It feels like every time somebody throws a screen on this team, it goes for a big gain. Am I being dramatic?
You know why that happened? Because Matt Milano's not out there.
Yeah.
And Matt Milano sniffs out all of this stuff. His instincts are crazy.
That's right.
And when you have Dorian Williams in there, which, by the way, that game plan early on was specifically tailored to go after Dorian Williams. A lot of misdirection, a lot of stuff to
the Arizona game plan going after
Yes.
Dorian. How about this one? This one is from Joe. He says, I feel that they came unprepared in the beginning until they made an adjustment at halftime. What do you think, Howard? What do you think about that?
I think one of their adjustments was trying to figure out whether you wanted Dorian Williams on the field or go dime.
Yeah.
I also think Taron Johnson injury, you can't understate the importance of the injury.
Yeah.
Because he plays every play and he does so much for this defense. So now you got to put Cam Lewis in. You eventually have to play Ingram as part of your dime defense. So there were a lot of things they had to do, but sure, they looked like two completely different defenses. In the first half, they had no answer for Kyler Murray. They couldn't get through with 4 men. When they did get through and pressured him, he does his Josh Allen.
Yeah.
He runs out of the pocket and he makes plays on the run. Guys were running around wide open. So, yeah, I thought they did a good job of generating pressure, of getting to Kyler Murray, not letting him make plays. I mean, he threw for 31 yards in the second half. So they adjusted. They did well. But I think Joe's right. There is an underlying concern about the defense, which means 2 things have to happen. 1, the offense needs to be great.
Yes.
Because it will have to carry this team while the defense goes through this growing period. 2, Greg Rousseau has to continue to be a beast, and the defensive line really has to step their game up to help the back 7.
All right. So because we're doing this new format this year, we are going to go to a break on the television side of things. If you are watching us online, don't go anywhere, because we're going to continue the conversation. If you are watching on TV, take out your phone. You can comment. We can answer some of your questions. Howard's going to literally do it right now. So TV, we'll be right back.
That's how you
online. Yeah, that's how you open the phone.
Oh.
We'll be right back. Okay, so we are still here online. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Hey, everybody, do me a favor. If you are watching here, say where you're watching from, and we can give you a little bit of a shout out. Jessica says hi. Hi, Jessica. Thank you for watching here. We already went through a couple of the different questions here. Lori says, was great that so many guys caught balls. I mean, what was it yesterday? 9 different players had catches?
10 had a target.
Yeah.
And 9 guys had at least
Who was the
catch.
10th who didn't make a catch but had a target?
Was it Ty Johnson?
Yeah, it was Ty Johnson. It was that ball at his feet that ended up actually killing a drive. It was kind of down the middle there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. Is that everybody eats thing? Like, legitimately, something that they can buy into and be effective with?
Well, I think the everybody eats thing is there because they don't have a number one anymore.
That's right.
And like their wide receiver rotation was wild. It is their highest snap earner was Keon Coleman, and I think he barely cracked 80.
Yeah.
Their second highest snap guy was Matt Collins,
Wow.
which was wild to think about because
Diggs and Davis would get over 90, right?
Oh, Davis.
Especially Davis.
Davis would be in the 92, 93, 94, 95 range. And then Diggs, earlier in his career, would be around the 90s. And then last year, he was around like 85 to 86, 87 range.
Yeah, I mean,
who keeps track of this stuff?
It's like you've literally got the spreadsheet for it every single
I'm not
game.
a fan of the everybody eats thing.
I think you need a guy.
I like a guy I know the other team has to worry about. Now maybe it's Kincaid, and I know you were talking about him that he's going to have some big numbers.
Was that part of it yesterday?
Thursday.
Was it part of it that they were so focused on Kincaid that they just kind of went to everybody else?
It opened up everything because if you need to focus a little bit more on one guy as a defense, then obviously that's going to open up some more opportunities, which I think is what kind of opened things up for the offense in general, the passing offense in general in the second half. So I don't think it's going to be, they're just going to totally take out Dalton Kincaid every single game sort of thing. Kincaid's going to have a good game, especially if he plays 90% of the snaps. No doubt.
Yeah, this is so cool. Everybody is watching this from like literally all over the country, which is so legitimate. So everybody who's watching, please continue to watch. We'll give you a shout out when we come back on TV in just about 30 seconds here. In the second block, so if you're watching on the line on the stream right now. TV Talk block. That's like the second segment that we're going to do. I did want to talk specifically about the Taron Johnson injury, and I know that there's a lot of things that come with that. So
the guy who just wrote a story.
We'll talk about Taron Johnson. Joe just wrote a story about Taron Johnson. If you're watching online, we will be back in like 15 seconds. Well, the video's not ending, but we're going to pause for 15, and then we'll be right back. Cool. This is really cool. It's like literally people are watching from like all over the country. I told them like, hey, that's so cool. I don't know why I didn't think that was going to happen, but I'm like, oh, this is so cool.
Why you're stunned by this?
The internet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it goes all over the world.
All right, welcome back, everybody. On the TV side of things, we continued the conversation during the commercial break, and I was just stunned that there were people watching us from literally all over. I don't know why. I thought I was going to look at the screen, and it was just going to be like, oh, Depew, Cheektowaga, Wheatfield. So Susie's watching from Arizona. Then Marlon is watching from Louisiana. Joe, who was right under there, Niagara Falls. My mom's from the Falls, so like, love it. Thank you for watching. And then this is from, is it Machias, right? Machias.
Did you think the internet only lasted in like Western New York?
Yeah, I thought it was a new thing. Marilyn is watching from some beach in Florida.
New
Smyrna. You've heard of that?
Yeah.
Where's New Smyrna? Is that
Florida.
like near Miami?
I
Well, I know it's in Florida.
it's in Florida.
Yeah, Lehigh Acres, Florida. We got Jason, who's right there from Nashville. So thank you all for watching. Like, that is really cool. Diana is from Phoenix. Go Bills. And then Garrett is in Depew. All right, so there's a bunch of people watching this. We very much appreciate you watching. During the commercial, we said we would talk about the Taron Johnson injury. Taron Johnson is not going to play Thursday. We do not know how long that this injury is going to linger. We do not know what the long-term outlook is. How big of a loss is Taron Johnson? I'm starting with you because I know you've got a lot of Taron Johnson stuff you want to get to.
Well, I'm going to let him do most of the talking because, I mean, he's got and had an article about this. Taron Johnson's, if not the best, one of the top three nickel cornerbacks in the entire National Football League.
Yeah.
He's turned out to be that kind. He's an every down guy, right? We talk about that with Milano. Taron Johnson does it all. He covers guys. He's great in run support. He does whatever you need him to do. So a guy like that is not very easy to replace. So when he got hurt, yeah, my heart skipped a little bit of a beat right there, and I just kept my fingers crossed hoping he'd return. He didn't. And now we were talking about it when we all got together before we're going on the air tonight.
Yeah.
I'll let Joe pick it up from here, crossing my fingers going, I wanted Josh Allen's left hand to be fine and Taron Johnson to be able to play Thursday. I got 1 out of 2.
You got 1 out of 2. Taron Johnson, we understand how big of an injury it is. I don't want to make you speculate because we have no idea. But I mean, is this something that we think we need to be talking about for weeks? Is this something that could last for months? Like what do we think here?
I don't want you to speculate, but speculate.
Kind of, yeah. Educated guess.
I know. I mean, this guy is perpetually underrated, and losing him for even this one game is going to be huge, huge for this defense. It's not a promising sign, and you can only go based on history. It's not a promising sign that it was an immediate rule out this week. Now, that could just be the fact that it
short
was a
week
short
and
week, everything along those lines. But also Sean McDermott, when he was talking about it, effectively said, we still need to do more research on it. And you could take that one of two ways. You can either be like, oh, great, they're going to find a way, going to find a path. But you could also take it as, oh, they didn't get great news, and they want to see if they can somehow get around and get him out on the field sooner. But either way, the defense is going to be at a tremendous disadvantage without him. And I would not be shocked, and I know we're not specifically talking about Miami, I would not be shocked if they just line up Tyreek Hill in the slot going up against Cam Lewis all game. And even if it's not Tyreek Hill, everyone else has speed.
Jalen Waddle,
Devon Achane. Like these guys, Achane just had 7 catches for 76 yards. If he plays, I know he didn't practice today, but I mean, they have speed all over the field that can take advantage of Tua's timing, accuracy, and everything like that. And one false step at the line of scrimmage from Cam Lewis, big play.
The other part of this, real quick, is this is an area of strength. Amidst all the questions about the defense, what did we say? You could take their top 3 corners as a group, match them up with just about any other team in the league. And now you're without one.
Arguably their best. Well, actually not arguably.
Their best. Their best.
And no offense to Cam Lewis. I thought he made a few nice plays in the win over Arizona. But you're looking down, you're protecting a lead. It's crunch time at the end of the game, and half your 6 guys in the secondary are DeMar Hamlin, Jamarcus Ingram, and Cam Lewis. It's a problem because cornerback was a strength. Now you're down 1.
All right, we are going to continue this during the commercial break online and on TV. We will be back in just a couple minutes. You're watching Leading the Charge on 7 ABC. All right, thank you, everybody. I will just kind of like tap my pen when we got to wrap for the segment because Julia in the control room, they're not hearing exactly what you're saying because they don't have the IFB in right now. Okay, we get a couple questions that we want to answer. Let's see. How's Josh Allen's hands? This is from Michelle. I missed it earlier. She asked the question. I think we got pretty good news on that today, right? I mean,
he'll be fine.
Yeah, Joe says he'll be fine. I think the fact
he plays through everything.
He plays through everything. The fact that he finished the game with the injury.
Yep.
Now, I was talking to my partner for our podcast, It's Always Game Day in Buffalo, Sal Capaccio. He's the sideline reporter. He said he noticed Josh like wincing when he was taking snaps. But I'm sure they'll have some sort of pain medication that he'll take, and whether he's taking him out of the shotgun, if he's taking him under center. Like, I legitimately don't think there is an injury that would keep Josh Allen off the field to his left hand.
How about the one year he showed up to a post-game press conference in a walking boot
and
then
in Tampa,
played the next game.
And then played the next game? I think Josh, if Josh had to go out on the field with like a boxing glove on his left hand, I think he would still play. It'd just be like,
even
I'm just
his right
gonna,
hand, honestly.
That's what I mean. Like, he would just run through everything. So I think that Josh is going to be good. Good question, Michelle. This one's from Garrett. He said, I was excited to witness Von Miller starting to get back into the action.
It was a big sack.
I mean, it was a big sack. It was a big play in the game.
Third down stop on the second to last drive.
And he won with power, right? He pushed the guy in, and then that own guy tripped Kyler Murray.
A good sign because we didn't really see anything from him last year. He had a pressure on Kyler Murray, and Kyler just outran him.
I think the thing with him is people just have to keep his role in check because exactly, right where I thought he was going to be, somewhere between 15 to 30 snaps based on how many defensive snaps they have in the game. They wound up having, I think, 61 and wound up with, I think, 29 snaps. So just under 50%. That's the perfect role for him. Just keep him fresh. He's not a huge part of the game plan, but when you need him on third downs and big situations, you can put him out there.
I think in the final series, too, he was out there. That final series.
Yeah, he was out there.
He was out there quite a bit.
He was out there
winning a couple times, but
a lot of people are asking about Joe Andreessen, so we will quickly talk about Joe Andreessen, but I also want to talk about the run game. We actually haven't talked about the run game, so we will talk about the run game. I believe we should have Sherry's question queued up. She said, why do they always use Cook, other running backs? We'll talk about that on television in 30 seconds or something. So if you are watching online, we will be back in about 30 seconds when we start things on TV. This block is only 2 minutes.
Okay.
So we will be pretty quick on this block. And then after that, we have some quick final thoughts. And I'm going to talk about my dear personal friend, Aaron Rodgers.
Why don't you can just do this segment. I'll sit this one out if it's only 2 minutes. And I'll just do final thoughts.
No.
You can ask him about the running game and then go to break.
Okay.
Aaron Rodgers. Did you see there's a new Netflix series coming out with him?
No. Who?
Aaron Rodgers.
All right, welcome back, everybody. There's a Netflix series coming out with Aaron Rodgers.
December.
I guess what I won't be watching.
Isn't he shirtless in the promo?
I didn't even see the promo. I just saw a story about it.
During the commercial break, Sherry asked a very good question about the run game, and it's right here. Why do they always use Cook? They do have other running backs. So, Joe, Answer that, and then also, did they run too much yesterday? I think they ran too much yesterday.
Well, in the early stages, they definitely tried to #establish it.
Yeah.
And then once Sean McDermott saw that Dalton Kincaid was coming off the field a little bit more often than he would have liked, those first 2 series, which was very run heavy, mind you, Dalton Kincaid was at like a 63% snap share, and then that skyrocketed up when they started going to the pass a bit more. To the other question, James Cook, why do they continue to go to him? Because he's their best player. It's that simple. Like Ty Johnson is good in spots. Ray Davis just isn't all the way there yet, and you saw it by his usage. They only gave him 6 snaps in that game.
Yeah.
So James Cook is the best one they have, and those opportunities that he has in the pass catching realm, where Josh Allen gets out of the pocket and delivers one right to James Cook. That's the type of stuff that you're not getting really from anyone else on the roster.
Not Ray Davis either, because I feel like Ray Davis is here to kind of be the.
He had a catch yesterday.
Yeah, he had a catch and he got a first down. He made a nice play.
He's more of like a swing and like a button hook and an out guy. James Cook can improvise really well, and that's one of his strengths as a pass catcher.
By the way, yes, they ran too much.
I do really feel like
early on, I agree.
I understand that you want to establish the run. I understand that they're not a great run defense. Take advantage of them. With 2 minutes left in the first half, it's a 2-minute warning. Josh Allen had 2 pass attempts. Yeah. That is simply unacceptable. I do not care what the time of possession is, because guess what? You need your best player to get back into the game, and eventually he did. All right, that was our conversation about the run. We're continuing the conversation with a little Joe Andreessen talk during the commercial break online, and then we'll be back with our final thoughts as we get ready for week 2.
Ooh, I have to have a final thought.
A lot of Joe Andreessen. You don't really have to have a final thought, because I don't exactly. It's only it's a 2-minute break, and then how long do we have at the end of the show? 3-minute. Yes. Okay. Let's talk about Joe Andreessen, because a bunch of people have Joe Andreessen questions. What happened?
I'm assuming why he was inactive.
Yes.
So basically, from my perspective, I think he was supposed to be active, and then there was a late week Dwayne Smoot injury, which kind of caused them to have like a domino effect with their lineup in terms of both defense and special teams. Because remember, it wasn't just Smoot; Javon Solomon was out as well. Right. So that meant Casey Toohill this is way down the rabbit hole. Casey Toohill had to play more of a defensive role than special teams role than they wanted. They had to call up Cameron Klein, which took a spot. And then they wanted to put Jamarcus Ingram, because Cameron Klein takes up a certain special teams spot where they need a smaller guy out on the boundary. And so Jamarcus Ingram was up, even though he was supposed to be a healthy scratch. Sean McDermott even said that it was a late decision to make Ingram up.
Who would they have played?
Game. Andreessen.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, if they wanted to go dime.
Well, that would have been Mike Edwards probably.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, heck of a play.
And he makes the play at the end of the game.
Yep.
DPI, what do you think, or no?
I thought it was a flag.
Close.
Yeah.
It was close. You could have probably went either way.
I thought it was coming.
If it happened to the Bills, I would have been furious they didn't throw a flag.
Yeah, that's probably right. He did have the nonsense, though, roughing the passer, unnecessary roughness one at the beginning of the year. Yeah, that was absolutely ridiculous.
That was a bad one.
That was a bad one.
Stay away from officiating, though.
Yeah, I know you do. All right, 20 seconds until we come back from break.
Everyone gets bad calls.
How long do we have for this final segment? Quickly.
Everyone.
3 minutes for the final segment. If you're watching online, we'll continue in 15 seconds. Welcome back, everybody. Thank you if you have been watching online. If you have been commenting, we very much appreciate it. This is the first time we've done this, and it's really cool. So we're going to continue to do it if you continue to give us comments. So thank you for doing that. As we get ready, it is the Bills, it is the Dolphins, it is 2 teams that were down 14 points and somehow managed to erase those deficits and become 1-0. What are your just initial final thoughts as we get ready for the last game of the year? Howard, we'll start with you.
Yeah, beat Miami, please. But thank goodness they beat Arizona, because I would not have wanted to see them go 0-1. And by the way, the Jaguars, you're on my you-know-what list.
Yeah.
You blew that football game. The Dolphins should be 0-1. I think the Dolphins are going to be fired up. I think this is a huge game for them.
It's a bigger game for the Dolphins
absolutely.
than it is for the Bills.
They blew the division last year. They got beat by the Bills on their field. I think they're going to be like really fired up for this game.
If the weather cooperates, giddy up, points-wise.
Yeah.
Miami's defense is not great. Buffalo's defense has a ton of questions. The total on the game is 50. Like watch out.
That's awesome.
Watch out on Thursday Night Football. Yeah. We could see a lot of points, back and forth stuff. And I do think this is a huge game for the Bills. And because
definitely
look at their schedule coming up. I mean, the Jaguars, who just barely lost to the Dolphins. Then you have the Ravens, the Texans, the Jets, and the Jets could have a pretty good record by the time Week 6 comes around.
Yeah.
So where are the wins in all of those? This is a huge game for them if they want the AFC East.
I see 5 wins in the next 5 games. All right, so I'm just kidding. So the Monday Night Football game with the Jets is coming up right after this break. So it's Aaron Rodgers and the Jets against the 49ers. Now, if you're watching the show for the first time, if you're hearing my voice for the first time, Aaron Rodgers and I don't get along. And the reason we don't get along is let's go to the tape. Now, we've never done this before, but we're breaking this down. So this is 10 years ago when he was in town with the Packers. Now, we're going to show you this in slow motion here. Here he is shoving that fine gentleman, which was me 10 years ago. Now, what I want to show you on the tape here, I've never broke down video of Not Football. I'm not in his way. He shoved me and told me some words that I'm not allowed to say on TV. I'm not in that person's way. I'm minding my business there. What I'm doing is actually getting video of Packers running back James Starks, who is from Niagara Falls. I'm just doing my job, minding my business, and then this big bully comes and shoves me out of the way. So you know what? Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm not in his way, and I think karma has really come back to bite this guy.
Are you posting this?
I will post this on social media right when this show ends. Which is in
like, get asked about
which is in like 20 seconds. Whatever. I don't care.
It's a good thing you've moved past this. 10 years ago?
I don't hold a grudge. That's Joe Buscaglia. This is Howard Simon. I'm Matt Bove. Thank you for watching, leading the charge. We'll be back on Thursday before the Dolphins game at 7 o'clock.
Polo shirts.
In polo shirts.
10 years ago, and you're still obsessed over it? What did he say to you?
We are still live on Facebook, so I can't say what he said to me there. But it wasn't very nice. It was a word that doesn't start with H and starts with a different letter in the alphabet, and it wasn't very nice. All right, everybody who is on Facebook, thank you very much for watching. We will do this again because it was really cool to see all your comments.
Howard's wearing shorts.
Howard is wearing shorts, yes. I don't think it's going to come up on – that is coming up on Facebook for sure. All right, that was impressive.
Little TV trick. They taught me
little TV trick. All right, thank you guys for watching. Let's end the StreamYard chat now, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Thanks, y'all.